Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Logical Nonsense Podcast. Right now, I had to add a segment to this podcast at the beginning. Which you will still hear later, I originally had a podcast planned with just Liam going over the MLB Over and Unders. Little did I know Future and Metro Boomin were going to drop one of the best albums I've heard in the trap world in a very long time. So I had to really digest that, take 3 or 4 listens through to make sure I fully understood what was going on in this album. Of course, my opinion could or could not change as I continue to dive into this, but we've got something on our hands. Whenever Kendrick drops a diss track on anyone, especially when they drop a diss track on somebody as big as JCole and Drake, gotta leave an album review. So that is where we're gonna start off the podcast. Then we will hop into the second part of the podcast, which is why you'll see a different setting, different time of day, different days. So Liam and I will go into MLB preview and the MLB over unders. Wanted to give you "We Don't Trust You" album review first. We Don't Trust You. What an album, man. Like I just said, probably one of the best trap albums I've heard in the last 5 years. It is just the chemistry between Future and Metro Boomin is just a match made in heaven. I absolutely love what these two did in this. I mean, their work in here is just incredible. And the more I listen to it, the more I fall in love with what they did here. So let's hop right into it. You know what it is. First, we give our ratings of each song. Then we go into our logically method of rating because we rate logically. Lyrics, on point production, glorious flows, immediate hits, content matter for an average score. Starting off with our first song, "We Don't Trust You." Beautiful intro song. Metro might be the king of intro songs. You look at Heroes and Villains, he brought a huge atmosphere into that. I mean, even Heroes Don't Wear Capes. I mean, he's just a king at bringing in intro beats, and I think he did it again with this one. I love this perfect mood setter, smooth ass trap beat. Love how he loops back in his original samples, and you'll see that throughout the album. He'll pick a sample and he doesn't rely on the sample. He just uses it back and forth, kind of just plays with it. It works so well. It's something he's really good at. I think a lot of producers heavily rely on that sample to, make the beat what it is. And I think he does a good job of balancing the sample between the beat, and it's just beautiful. So love that. And I also love Future's voice fluctuations in this first song, something he does incredibly throughout the song, switching up his flow, switching up the way his voice sounds. Really great first song. Then we go into Young Metro. Again, Future is also really good at hopping into beats just very smoothly. It doesn't sound awkward. It just seems like he hits the beat right at the right time. And just this is a solid song on the album. And I think it's a much needed song. It's that high pace, what you're used to. And, it's not a top song for me. I can definitely see, it's kind of your classic trap song. But, I wouldn't be mad or shocked if somebody really messed with it because it is, it's a head bopper for sure. So going into Ice Attack, I think this is kind of a nice little, it has a nice little beat switch up. I almost think I like the song more before the beat switch up. I think afterward it kind of messes. You get this kind of flow that starts to become old a little bit. So going into Type Shit, this one I've gone back and forth of because it draws a very fine line between being repetitive and being catchy. On first listen, I really wasn't a fan, and as I continue to listen, I'm like, it kind of hits. I think this is a song that could definitely grow on me. The production is so solid on this, very heroic or cinematic feeling to it when the beat switches up. I love the build up. That's another thing that Metro does throughout this album that I think he is genius in doing is he will have one beat, he'll switch it up, and then he builds up that beat, and it just brings this anticipation, leaving the listener for wanting more in the song, and I think he continues to do that. That's something he does in this song that I really like. Um, Good verse by Playboi Carti. I usually don't give Playboi Carti a ton of credit. I thought he did really great in this song. bringing a good verse, so I enjoyed it. Going to Claustrophobic, um, a lot of mixed reviews on this song from what I've seen. I think the sample at the beginning is pretty dope. Personally, before the beat drop, well, just not even just in general, I think Future kind of lacks energy, especially compared to rest of the songs on this. Obviously, not every song needs to be, in your face hardcore, and he doesn't even show that at all. We see many different flows, and something that I credit him for doing on this album is having different styles of energy. It just felt like there was a lack of passion or a lack of energy in this song, and for that, I think, it's not a terrible song. I'm not saying it's a terrible song. It just it can kind of get a little repetitive, and it's not my personal favorite. I think content wise, there's better tracks, but again, if you mess with this song, like I'm not gonna be mad at you for sure. Going to like that. Wow. Just wow, man. I think this is gonna hit number 1 on the charts and reasonably so. It's incredible. The We can start with the production. The amount of samples he brought into this, the Easy E sample to the E40 sample to the just so many samples within this song, and then he makes it sound so freaking good. An underrated part of this song is the outro and how he chops up the beat and just it's so freaking good. It's evil, it's demonic. It gives this just hardcore song of just like, your lip is curling. Like, god dang, they're doing people dirty. Future brings a hard verse. And at first the chorus is like, oh, okay, like it's all right, but like the second when after Kendrick's verse, that chorus really hits. I don't know how to explain it, but like when he's saying like that, I don't know all the words yet, but when he says like that, like again, you're like, damn, they are really like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it just goes so hard. Future brings a hard verse. Kendrick drops one of the most lyrically dense diss track, like diss verses we've ever heard. That might be a hot take. Kendrick just goes in, man. The K9 Pet Cemetery, the fuck the big three, Nas, Big Me. Are you kidding me, Kenny? Are you kidding me? And, he's starting rap beef, which is honestly, we might need it. Whether you like it or not. I mean, for so long we've always thought these three were big friends, and now Kendrick's like, I'm on a whole different level with you. We're not used to seeing that. Kendrick is usually somebody who kind of keeps to himself, who, we've seen on a control verse that he can diss other people and that he believes he's the best, but we haven't seen it in a long time. And for him to come out, somebody who doesn't come out very often, and drop a diss track, man, that is cultural moment. Like, holy crap, people are gonna remember this verse for a long time, and he just goes in. I fucking love it. Like, I think this is good for rap. I'm a fan of Kendrick, I'm a fan of Cole, I'm a fan of Drake. This is good. This is good for rap. We're gonna see them trying to compete against each other, trying to diss each. I mean, whether you like it or not, I don't really care. I think it's good for rap. I love it. It was dope to see him on a beat like this too. The chemistry within this song. This is almost a perfect song for me. This is just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful song. So excited to see how it does to the mainstream media. I mean, it's already done well. People are going crazy over it, and I think it's going to continue to just do it. And I think this is a super, super fun song to listen to. Just locked in, slimed in. Uh, this is not Future's best flow, in my opinion. I actually find it quite annoying compared to some of his more melodic flows. This isn't his greatest. We've seen better from him. We see better from him on this album. And if you're gonna have a song called "Slimed In," I better hear a Young Thug verse on it. And he doesn't have like a super, super, super big presence on this song that makes me like it. So going to Magic Don Juan, Princess Diana. This is one that grew on me. It's a classic trap song at the beginning. It's pretty simple, it's nothing too crazy to me. That beat switches up and it becomes really high pace, and I really, really mess with it. It's a Future flow that I just think he is so like he thrives in it. He sounds very comfortable in his skin in it, and he just goes in and just shows what he's capable of when he's rapping. And I love the beat switch, and I think it saves the song, the second part of it. Going to Cinderella, I hope this song gets the attention it deserves because it's really incredible what it does. It's super super easy, beautiful, easy to listen to song. I think it's vibey, it's catchy, and there's very solid melodic verses from both Travis and Future. I think their chemistry together isn't something we've seen a ton of. They both sound beautiful on this beat. I love it, and I think it it's crazy. I'm starting to become a Travis fan, you know? I feel like all I've done on this podcast since I've started it is praise Travis, which is crazy to me because for the longest time I never gave him that kind of credit. So good for Travis. Running out of time, another super, super dope melodic song. I have really messed with this song a lot. Seeing what Future does on this song, he knows he can't sing. Somehow he makes it work on this song. It is catchy, it is vibey, it is shows his versatility. I mean, this song is just a bop. I think this was greatly executed between Metro and Future. The chemistry between the beat and his vocals, that raspiness in his voice sounds so good. I think the continuous growth in the beat and the anticipation is super dope. It continues to raise the pace. This is a dope song. Running out of time. Add it to your playlist right now. Fried. A lot of people mess with this song a lot. And I want to say this. I don't hate the song. I know I make 3 hits, 3 misses on most albums. Obviously, there's a ton of rap and I can't get to every single album, but on most of the bigger releases, I do 3 hits, 3 misses. Fried for me, it's not my song. If you mess with it, totally fine with me. To me, it's a little repetitive. The chorus kind of over and over again. Like I understand why people like it. Like it's the beat especially is just so deep. It's so layered. It's so easy to listen to. It's definitely bopper. Like it's something you could easily put on in the gym and you're gonna get pumped up. Like it's just one of those songs that is super dope to listen to in terms of a soundscape. I don't mess with the lyrics. I'm not like it's not my vibe personally. So I mean it has grown on me. Like from first listen, I really didn't mess with it. Now I'm like, I'm neutral with it. I think it's a solid song. I just not for me. Everyday Hustle, underrated song. Old school vocals are a cheat code for me. If you get any sort of that choir sounding vocals in the background, to me, it's going to be a hit if you drop it perfectly, and it's dropped so freaking perfectly. Future comes in so smooth onto the beat, just like butter. He has this raspy, super raspy voice coming in. They bring in the trap drums, and it comes such a hard song. Then you add Rick Ross to this, and Rick Ross thrives on this type of beat. I don't think it's his best verse that we've ever heard from Rick Ross, obviously. Devil in a New Dress is just on a whole different level, but, I think it's great. The ending to this song is just a cherry on top. Such a like, probably one of my favorite verses by Future on this entire album. It is this chopped up sample that just makes your lip curl. I mean, it is absolutely filthy what they did to the end of this song. Love it. Love this song on replay. GTA, kind of more of your murder sounding song or your cutthroat sounding song. There's this cutthroat feel and verse that Future brings. It's nothing special to me, but again, not necessarily a skip, just not necessarily my song. I think it fits into the album really well, and I think it's necessary for the album. Going to Seen It All, this really cool how he introduces the song. There's all these different elements like the storm in the background. I think that's super dope. And then, of course, another beat drop from Metro, and it works really well. I'm super impressed. And this song really, again, implemented it into my mind. Just how many different flows we're seeing from Future on this album and how it still sounds all so good together. I think the rapping is super solid on this, and this is just a dope ass song to me. WTFYM, what the fuck you mean? kind of more of a pop sounding Future, kind of has a kind of Young Thug influence, if you will, to me. I really mess with it. I think it's something that grew on me again. It switches up. I think it feels like he's always trying to make this catchy chorus, and you hear that in this song too. It's not like a knock by on Future or anything. I think it's just more so of an observation. It does feel like we are constantly, and I guess that's like the point of songs, right? You wanna make them catchy, you wanna make them easy to listen to, but I think compared to other rappers, you'll see rappers who don't necessarily give a shit about a chorus, and it feels like Future really does, like, he wants to bring that catchiness like that. I guess it's more of that trap style, but I like the song. I like the song, definitely on my playlist. Where My Twin At? It's an interesting bonus song. I think it's kind of just like a fun, old school Young Thug song, very easy to listen to again, so love it. Lyrics, Future isn't a lyrical genius by any means, and that's fine. You don't have to be. I think for music to be good, doesn't always have to be that way. We saw the Future Metro combo, we'll get to that in a second in the production. That chemistry, unreal. There's some conceptual songs and there's some lyrical songs. I'm not saying his lyrics are bad. I think the biggest thing that gives Future plus points is he's not necessarily cringy. And as long as your bars aren't cringy to me, like you're doing okay. Like there's no shit bars, you know what I'm saying? Like he's fine. He has great bar spitting ability. He has those hooks and those just daggers that kind of make you really interested in what he's saying. And you definitely have to pay attention because he has his lyrical moments. I'm gonna rate it a 6.8 out of 10. Maybe a little low, but I definitely give him credit for other points on my logic scale. On point production. Metro was in his bag on this one. Cohesive production, tells a story, love it. Crazy chop samples, crazy beat switch ups. Just so intriguing, so impressive to see this body of work all together. Very memorable beats, easy to listen to. And, you know, we continue to see Metro try things that I don't want to say haven't been done before, but I think they are, unique. We like I said before, the difference between him and another producer is another producer allows a sample to override a beat. He doesn't. He will snippet it. He'll show you a little glance of that sample, bring it back in a different way than it was before. And I think that's so dope from him, so genius by him, and he's going to continue to do crazy things. He should have won producer of the year last year. It's really a steal that he didn't. 9.4 out of 10. Probably I think it's my highest rating I've ever given for production. Glorious flows. Future showed great versatility in this area, as I talked about over and over again. We saw melodic, we saw high pace, we saw that raspy, laid back feel from Future. Love the flows on this album. I'm going to give this a 8.6 out of 10. I was just extremely impressed in the effort and the skill he showed in this area. Immediate hits. Man, I don't know. I really think this album is perceived very well by the public, and reasonably so it should be. And I think there's going to be some really big hits. It's always tough to tell which ones are going to be the actual hits. Like that is undoubtedly a hit. And it's going to get some serious attention. It already has. Like Kendrick verse is just legendary already. And I think there are going to be other hits on this. I'm going to go 8 out of 10 for now. It's always tough to rate this area. I think there are some immediate hits on this album. Content Matter, one of the best trap albums I've heard in the last 5 years. Um, I mean, it's just so greatly executed with the chemistry between Future's voice and Metro's beats and production. I just think this is beautifully done. It had high expectations and it delivered, and that's so hard to do when you have high expectations from a crowd. So often see people fall up short, and it didn't. It's very proud of this album. 8.2 out of 10 for an average score of 8.2 out of 10. As always, make sure to listen to the album yourself thoroughly, make your own judgment. I am here just for fun, and to give my rating. I enjoyed this album very much, and I'm continued to I'm excited to continue to listen to it and dive deeper into the content of this album. Going to Liam, we got a special guest we have not seen in a long time. We have the Mr. Liam Wilson all the way from Australia right now on the Sunshine Coast. He's living lavish over there. Do they still have baseball over there, Liam? I think so. I think I saw some baseball fields over there, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. We've got over unders of every team. Today in the MLB, we had our first game of the year technically in I believe it was Korea. So crazy start to the year. Liam, how we doing, man? How's Australia? How's life?
It's going pretty good. A lot more sun than I think it is back in the old states on the West Coast right now. Uh, but been pretty solid.
Excited to talk baseball? It's been a minute.
Oh hell yeah! Been waiting for it for a while. The off season is finally over.
Yes, sir. Did you watch the game?
Didn't watch the game. Wait
No.
until wait until the old Mariners get started.
You didn't see that Shohei on in a Dodgers uniform? You didn't like that?
Well, I'll prefer Shohei torturing the Mariners a bit less than it was on the other LA team. So, as far as
True.
I'm concerned, not too bad because that man, I felt like every time he played the Mariners, he was good for at least one triple in every game.
Yeah, that's his athleticism for you. All right, let's hop into over unders. So here we've got our teams here. We're gonna start from the bottom up. We've got our first team, the poverty franchise, the Athletics. Looking at some of the moves they made, which, if I'm being honest with you, I don't even know what they made. So let me tell you what they did in this offseason. Who did they pick up? They picked up Alex Wood, JD Davis, Scott Alexander, Trevor Gott, a few minor league players. Who did they lose? No one too crazy that I'm seeing. It's a big list. Like, I'm talking like 30 plus people. So if you want me to read it, I can, but I'm not seeing anything crazy. I don't really know how much there was to lose on their team. So the line is, we'll go 57.5 because that's 3 out of the 4 betting lines. Over and unders, for those of you who don't know, if you bet the over, you're betting over 57 games that they win. If you're betting under, or 57.5. And if you're betting under, you're betting under 57.5 games. Pretty self-explanatory, but there are some non-gamblers out there. And then obviously the MLB plays a 162 game season. So, Liam, you taking the over or the under here?
Honestly, I'm going to take the over on this one because I think it's pretty hard to lose more than 100 games in repeated seasons. I think the A's could probably surprise me because their roster is pretty devoid of talent right now, and we know that they're not looking to put a lot of money into the team until maybe they finalize that move to Vegas if it happens. But I think generally teams improve a little bit even if they're scraping the bottom of the barrel. I'd be surprised if they are uh, as terrible as they were last year again, but we'll see.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is hard to lose 100 games back to back. If there's a team that could do it, it's definitely the A's. Um, I know they had some decent guys last year. Like, they still have Paul Blackburn on their team, I believe. They still have Diaz, last name Diaz, and then oh, that's Ruiz. Ruiz is fun to watch, man. He is a
hmm
base stealer. I remember him. Didn't he set some sort of record last year for bases stolen?
I think he was up there for rookies, right? With
Yeah.
with bases
He was
stolen kind
he was
of
fun to
in
watch.
history.
So, you know what? Yeah, give me the A's over as well. All right, going to the Colorado Rockies. We were just talking, they lost over 100 games last season, which is kind of crazy, but you look at their roster and like it's pretty trash. And I'm looking at their free agency signings. They didn't do much, Liam. They didn't do much. So I don't really know what to think here. Do you think this is a team that could flip it around?
Well, I don't think the Rockies have much of a chance of flipping around. Throughout their history, they're always plagued with terrible pitching. Even back in the Arenado days when they were trying to invest in the team a bit more, a lot of their bullpen and pitching signings never worked out. And so, really, I wouldn't expect anything good out of them. But I think I'm going to go with the same philosophy of it's hard to lose 100 games in a row, 2 seasons. So I think I'd pick the over on 60.5 in the case of the Rockies.
I'm gonna take the under again. I'm looking at their roster right now. They've got Chris Bryant, Charlie Blackman. Those are probably their best two players. And then let me read you their infielders: Ryan McMahon, Montero, Brendan Rodgers, Michael Toglia, Ezekiel Tovar, Sean Bochert. God, I am really need to take like a name pronunciation class. Sean Bochard, Brenton Doyle, Sam Hilliard, Nolan Jones. And then I mean they're pitching. There's some guys that stand out to me, like Austin Gomber,
Humber.
um, Cal Quantrill. I know him, but really nothing crazy. I don't think this team is good. I really don't. Like I don't know what the organization is trying to do over there right now.
Yeah, just seems like the poster child organization for being stuck in purgatory with owners who just don't want to invest in the product, basically.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the White Sox. The White Sox line, two of them have 60 and a half, two of them have 61 and a half. Let's go with straight up 61. Let me tell you some of their signings. They signed Eric Feedy, Paul DeYoung, Martin Molinado, and Michael Bush, Yency Almonte. Looking at their roster, they have Yoan Moncada, Andrew Vaughn, Andrew Benintendi, Luis Robert, Gavin Sheets, Eloy Jimenez. It doesn't look like they have Tim Anderson anymore, which is a huge loss for them. Pitching is not looking great either. I do remember them losing quite a few guys off the pitching roster. So
They did a bit of a fire sale too, right? They
yeah,
traded quite a few of their good bullpen arms away.
you taking the over or the under?
You know, I'm going against what I just said for the past 2 ones, but haven't taken under yet. I think I'm gonna take the under on the White Sox. I think things are going to continue to be pretty terrible for that franchise because I think last year was kind of the first year where they were really starting to drop off, and that window of contention really slam shut. The catalyst, or one of the catalysts of that, being Tim Anderson falling off from a promising star in the league to getting knocked out by Jose Ramirez, and that was just the microcosm of the whole thing. So
Yeah,
I think it's going to
that
get
was the
worse.
final straw for Timmy.
Yeah, I think it'll get worse before it gets better. So sorry, White Sox fans, but taking the under with this one.
Yeah, Tim Anderson is now on the Miami Marlins, which is actually a decent pickup for the Marlins. So, but yeah, I think this is a team where it felt like they lost in the offseason, really. Like they at least attempted to do something, unlike the Rockies. But you know what? I'll go with the over because they are in the AL Central, and I do know the AL Central is decently weak. So I'll go with the over on this one. They actually were a very feisty team last year. Like they were better than what their record showed. They were extremely competitive in the AL Central. Were in a lot of those games and honestly should have won a lot of them. So I'll go with the over on that. Going to the Nationals, looking at some of their signings, they did pick up the man, the myth, the legend, Joey Gallo with a 177 batting average last year. So sad to see him go from the Twins. He just provided so much for us. Absolutely fucking not. I'm so glad to see him gone. Holy shit. The fact that this man is still in the MLB with a 177 average, brother, holy shit, that is bad. That is so
The
bad, Liam.
only reason
Oh
he's
my
sticking around
god.
is because the one time he'll get a hit, it will be a home run.
Oh my goodness, man. And then Nick Senzel also was signed, who was previously on the Reds. Nothing crazy there. Looking at the roster, they've got as infielders CJ Abrams, Luis Garcia Jr., Joey Menendez, Nasim Nunez, Nick Senzel, and Vargas, and then Alex Call, Joey Gallo, Stone Garnett, Victor Robles, Lane Thomas, Jacob Young as their outfielders. They have 3 catchers, Kybert Ruiz, Drew Milaz, Riley Adams. Pitcher, they got some guys. They still got Strasburg, which is crazy to me. Still have Josiah Gray, Dylan Floro. I don't know how you feel about Floro, but they got some guys in the bullpen. What do you think? Over under?
With the Nationals, especially at, let's say 60, 66 wins. I'm going to take the over on that one because I think the Nationals last season, especially in the late summer, were kind of starting
Yeah,
to figure it out. They were
I
going
agree.
on some runs. It seems like their rebuild years are paying off, starting to pay off a little bit. Some of the talent might be developing better. I think they crashed and burned pretty hard in September, but at that point, they weren't going to make the playoffs anyways. So, especially, I'm kind of surprised, honestly, that they're at 66 wins. I feel pretty confident in the over for the
I agree with
Nationals
you.
this upcoming
Actually,
year.
I think they're underrated team. This is a team that I think could be a sleeper team. Like that we're like, "Oh, whoa. Like why are they like sneakily good?" You know what I'm saying? And I think this could easily be one of those teams. So, yeah, I really like it. I really like it a lot. Over for me as well. Let's go to the Angels. Big news here. Of course, they lost Shohei, the face of their franchise. Well, this is a good question. This is a discussion I'll bring up with you. Who do you think was the face of their franchise? Shohei or Mike Trout?
So, Mike Trout, for what, when did he win his last MVP? Like 2019 or something like that?
Yeah, I feel like it's yeah. Anyways, continue.
Because that was really his last. He hasn't been very healthy these past few seasons, which has been kind of the knock, and that's also coincided with Shohei
Yeah,
Ohtani's,
2019.
meteoric rise. I think over the past 4 years, it's been Shohei, and Mike Trout's kind of not faded to the background, but Mike Trout has never been a huge kind of marketed player, I feel like. Um, he just doesn't seem to kind of have the same gravity that Shohei did. I think Shohei has the benefit of having a huge fan base in Japan and internationally as well that
Yeah,
comes with him. But if he has a healthy season, like Mike Trout, I'm sure will reassert himself as one of the top bats in the game. It's just staying on the field at this point.
definitely. Definitely. So the Angels did get some pitching. They got Matt Moore from the Marlins. Last year had a 2.56 ERA, 60 strikeouts, 1.16 whip for 52 innings pitched, as well as Robert Stevenson, a righty who had 60 appearances, 3.10 ERA, and 77 strikeouts, 0.879 whip. 3-year, 33 million deal from the Rays. Looking at the roster as well, they've got Adam Simber, Jose Cisnero, Reed Detmers, Luis Garcia, Patrick Sandoval, Matt Moore, Robert Stevenson, as I just mentioned, Jose Suarez. They got some decent, like they've got a decent bullpen actually. Obviously they're missing Shohei, but not bad. Catchers Logan O'Hop and Matt Dice, Brandon Drury, Zach Neto, Anthony Rendon, Luis Rengifo, Nolan Schnall, I don't know how to say his last name, Livian Soto, Michael Stefanik, Joe Adell, Aaron Hicks, Mickey Moniak, Mike Trout, and Taylor Ward is their roster.
I don't know. The Angels, as far
Line
as
is
I've
72
kind of
and a
followed,
half.
As far as I've followed the Angels, since about 2017, or keeping up with them since they're a division rival, the Angels have never really had a terrible season. uh, Artie Moreno is his name, right? Their owner.
Yeah.
He's kind of the poster child for, he at least spends money, but he spends it in kind of terrible ways usually. But the money he spends makes sure that they're competitive enough at the very least, but it doesn't ever really push them over the edge like Anthony Rendon. That whole contract, that whole mess. But I don't think I don't know. It's kind of a tough line where I don't think that they're going to be like bottom of the barrel team, but I don't feel like they're going to be. I feel like their number is 70 and 92. I feel like that's going to be where they sit. They're going to be kind of, yeah, losing 90 something games, but nothing worse than that kind of. So I think I'll take the under just barely
Ooh.
on the Angels here.
I think that I'm gonna go over, and here's why. I think it's gonna be like the Patrick Ewing theory. I think the Angels are gonna be better now with Shohei gone. I don't know how. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I think they're gonna be better. Like they're just gonna be a sneaky team. Watch them make playoffs. Like that'd be fucking hilarious. I don't think they are because they're in a really tough division in the AL West. But like it would be fucking hilarious if this team made it into the playoffs after Shohei was gone. Like just a huge FU to Shohei, right? Like I love
It would
Shohei.
be
Like I don't want an FU, but it would be fucking hilarious, no?
it would be hilarious for that side, but them making the playoffs would reduce the likelihood of the Mariners making the playoffs. So I'm praying that that doesn't happen.
I know you're praying for it, but it'd be fucking hilarious. Still be funny. So, all right, let's go to the Kansas City Royals, whose line is we'll say 74. Royals made some moves this offseason. They extended their contract with Bobby Witt Jr., which was huge, 11-year, $288 million deal. Michael Waka was a signing from the Padres, who's this very, very solid pitcher. They also signed Hunter Renfroe from the Reds to a 2-year, $13 million deal, as well as Seth Lugo from the Padres. So they upgraded their pitching, and they also, I missed this one, but they also got Will Smith from the Rangers on a 1-year, $5 million deal. Really went after the bullpen, which is something they really needed. And I think is huge, huge moves for them. And then they signed what I think will probably be their best player on their roster in Bobby Witt Jr. Looking at the catchers, they got Freddie Furman, Austin Nola, Salvador Perez, of course. Infielders, Adam Frazier, Michael Garcia, Nick Lofton, Michael Massey, Vinny Pasquantino, Nick Prado, Bobby Witt Jr., Darren Blanco, Kyle Isbell, MJ Melendez, Hunter Renfroe, Nelson Velasquez, and Drew Waters. Line is 74. What do you think about the Royals? Definitely
um,
improved from last year.
yeah, yeah, I agree. Made some good moves. Along with making the smart moves like extending Bobby Witt. He's a fantastic player. I remember a series, I think it was in August or so, when the Mariners were really hot, but went down to Kansas City for 4 games, and Bobby Witt was just killing us, insane. They're a tough team. Like I think in some ways, I can't remember the White Sox. You're talking about the White Sox were a bit. They played kind of tougher than what their record would indicate, and
Definitely.
at least from what I saw with the Royals, I think they kind of have a bit of the same effect.
Yeah.
And the Royals have just been so bad for so long. I think I'd go with the over here. Just I don't know. There's got to be some progress eventually. The AL Central is a bit of a weaker division in the AL, and I think it's I don't know. It should be about time that they start making some noise at least, or getting close to it. So
Definitely. And like I said, the AL Central is a great division, I think, for them to possibly make noise. Like anything could happen. Like, of course, I believe in my Twins, but you look at even just the other 4 teams, and you got the Guardians, who are okay, and then the White Sox, which we just mentioned, and the Tigers. I don't really believe in most of those teams, to be honest with you. So I think the Royals could be a sneaky good team as well. I'll take the over here. I really like what they did in the pitching too. Like building your bullpen is extremely underrated. So their pitching has struggled in the
Yeah, I
past
mean,
too. So
in some ways, it's just as important as getting your starting pitching because it's like it in some games, some teams, you have your bullpen pitching for almost half the game at points, and
yeah,
so having reliable arms there that are going to be fresh day in and day out is key.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, I completely agree. Our next team is the Pittsburgh Pirates. Signed Mitch Keller, Martin Perez, Andrew McCutchen, Marco Gonzalez, our oldest Chapman. And looking at their roster, of course, they got the young man in O'Neal Cruz, Henry Davis, Yasmani Grandal, Yordani De Los Santos, Nick Gonzalez, Keep Ryan Hayes, Loyover Puguero, Rowdy Tellez. I didn't know Rowdy went over to the Pirates. That's interesting. And Connor
I didn't really.
Joe, Edward Olivares, Joshua Palacios, Brian Reynolds, Jack Sawinski, Michael A. Taylor from the Twins, Andrew McCutchen. It's a decent team, man. Look at their pitching
Yeah,
too. I just told you about Chapman, Bailey Falter, Josh Fleming, Marco Gonzalez, Jose Hernandez, Colin Holderman, Mitch Keller, Carmen. I don't know how to say his last name. They have a decent Martin Perez too. Yeah, they have decent team, man.
not bad. Yeah, some good names.
75.5 is the line.
So the Pirates are kind of a tough one for me. They had a really hot start last year. They were actually leading the NL in wins for a bit there. I think maybe up till May or through May or something, dropped off there. But they definitely have a lot of talent on the roster. Shout out Marco Gonzalez from the Mariners. Feel a little bit bad that he's gone because he was sticking out the terrible years of the rebuild and then gets
Gets
ousted.
dished.
But he's a solid pitcher. Nothing. I'd say he's just kind of the pinnacle of a guy who can get you innings and won't do too much damage. But I don't know. The line is right near where they finished last year. I think with like 76 wins, and I just don't know if they're going to be better or worse. They just kind of seem like they've been another mid tier
Average
team.
team, yeah. This
Yeah.
isn't the fun part because we're doing all the bad ones first. So we're getting all the bad ones out of the way. This is like not a ton of excitement here, but we got to get through them.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna be optimistic, and I'll take the over on this one. I don't think that they're gonna be much better than they were last year, but I'll better than 76, maybe 78 wins if they're feeling spunky. So
I think I'm gonna take the under. I like their team, but it's like really hard for me to like think the Pirates are gonna be good. I know they had like you said, they did have that stretch there where they looked good, but I just think they're mediocre. I don't know. They didn't make any moves that like super wowed me. Are they in the NL Central?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I
yeah,
think they're the worst team in the division. I'm gonna take under. Going to the Brewers. The line there is also 76.5. So it's really, do you believe in the Brewers or do you believe in the Pirates, in my opinion? Whichever one you believe in, I feel like you got to go with the under on the other one, right? Or
yeah.
over, considering on what you pick.
I think I'm with you there. I think if I gave the Pirates the over, I gotta give the Brewers the under. The Brewers, they could. I wouldn't be surprised if they totally
Win
did the
over.
opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they've always had fantastic pitching, but they just can't get their hitting sorted out. Like
They
it's been a
lost a lot of
consistent
guys though
problem.
too.
Oh, yep, Corbin Burns is gone
Corbin Bur
now. He's on the
Yep.
Orioles. Yeah, yeah. So I think it might be a bit of a rebuild, or maybe the start of a bit of a decline for the Brewers because they've just, they're competitive. They've been there for the past few years, but just can't get out. I mean, have they even gotten out of the first round since they went to the NLCS in like 2018 when Yelich was an
I don't know if
MVP?
they
But
have, honestly. I don't know if they have. Looking at their pickups, they did get Reese Hoskins, which is a big pickup from the Phillies, Gary Sanchez, and then they re-signed Woodruff, which is good. They still got guys like Trevor McGill is still in that bullpen. Freddie Peralta is still there. But I really think Corbin Burns was a huge loss, and I feel like we're missing somebody that they also got rid of, but I can't. It's not coming to mind. Still have William Contreras, and they did sign Gary Sanchez. We know the man, Gary.
Gary.
Willie Adams is still on the team. Yeah, Christian Yelich. Yeah, this team's really not that great, honestly. I'll say it. I'll go with under as well. I know I said under for Pirates. I guess I gotta go over then, huh? I believe in the Brewers
Well,
more than Pirates. I don't know.
we still got the Cardinals and the
Yeah,
Reds
but I
too.
think the
So
Cards are gonna be good, and I like
yeah.
the Reds as well. So I think, yeah, you're right. I'll go under on both. I'll go under on both because I really like this Cards team. That we'll get to it in just a second, but I do like the Cardinals team again. All right, going to the Red Sox. Anything to say about the Red Sox before I pull up some of their moves?
Yeah, not a huge Boston sports fan. You could call me a bit of a hater on them, but I actually have some positive feelings about the Red Sox for this
Do
upcoming
you?
year.
Why is
Yeah.
that?
I don't know, I just feel like I I kind of feel like the Red Sox, I feel like there's going to be a bit of a shift in the AL East. I think the Yankees aren't going to be too good this year, especially what Garrett Cole. He's going to be he MRI on his elbow. I think it's likely that he's going to be out for a bit, maybe even Tommy John. The rest of the Yankees pitching wasn't good. I'm a bigger Yankees hater than a Boston hater, so I'm gonna prey on their downfall. But what I kind of think might happen with the AL East is I think the Orioles are still going to be on top just
Solid.
with the young talent they have. The Rays always just figure out something. But I think the Red Sox and the Blue Jays are going to swap this year. That's
Okay.
kind of my prediction.
So the Red Sox, they went out and they got Liam Hendricks, huge addition to that bullpen. Huge. When he's good, Liam Hendricks is really good. Tyler O'Neill, guy from the Cards, Cooper Criswell, Lucas Giolito, underrated pitcher there. And they still have like guys like Bobby Dahlbeck, Rafael Devers, uh, Trevor Story. They also have got Yoshida, who played well last year, who was a rookie last year. Yeah,
I think so.
yeah. No, he was playing well last year. And I don't know. I like the bullpen or the pitching. I think is solid because they still have Pavetta and Kenley Jansen. Yeah, I like
Yep.
their pitching, and I don't know. I like it. I'll go over as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking over. I think they'll be a fringe playoff team at their worst. I think they could be a wild card team this year.
Definitely. Let's go to the Miami Marlins. Miami Marlins really made only 2 moves. They signed Nick Gordon from the Twins. He's all right. Like he's a good utility player, but he's nothing crazy. Like just to give you some stats, he hit 176. Like he's
Ugh.
nothing. Like he's a good guy to have just to plug in on defense because he can really play anywhere. But Tim Anderson was a good pickup, especially for only 1 year, 5 million. He had a bad year last year. He only had 1 home run, which was crazy. We haven't heard that from him in a while. So he used to be pretty good hitter. And then Miami also made a run there towards the end, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, from what I remember last year.
Yeah. Yeah, they kind of picked it up at the end of the season there to get a wild
Did they
card
make
berth.
playoffs?
Yep, they got destroyed by the Phillies in the first round,
That's
but
right. That's right. Yeah, because there was in the All-Star, like right after the All-Star break, I remember them not doing very well, and we were talking about that, but they picked it up towards the end. Of course, they have Sixto Sanchez as well as Trevor Rogers, AJ Puck, uh, Jesus Luzardo, Anthony
they got
Bender.
Jazz Chisholm still.
Yeah, Josh Bell, Luis Arise, Tim Anderson, Jazz Chisholm Jr., Brian De La Cruz, Nick Gordon, as I mentioned, Sanchez, and John Birdie. Yeah, they've got decent infielders, outfielders. They did lose Jorge Soler, which I think is an underrated loss, especially for their team. I feel like he brought a lot of spark to the bats there. But what do you think?
I don't
Over
know.
under?
The Marlins are kind of a tough one for me. 'Cause I think definitely they had some struggles last year where they, floundered for a while. They've, reading off their names, with, their hitting core and everything, I think they have a solid hitting core, but I don't know, 'cause some of my questions are about pitching. I know that, Sandy Alcantara, is out for the entire season. I think he had a
Yeah,
Tommy John that took him out. So they're gonna be without their recent Cy Young winner. And I don't know, it just kinda seems like they
he had
were.
kind of a down year last year, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he wasn't as dominant as he was the year before. But, I don't know. This is a tough one. I feel like they're kind of right on the edge of being, they were kinda close to not being a playoff team last year.
Yeah,
And
and
I
they
think just not doing too much this offseason might hurt them. So I think I'm going to go with the under on the Marlins. I don't think that they're going to be terrible, but I think it
I
might have been maybe a bit of a fluke year last year.
I think their pitching is gonna hurt them. I think they'll be able to compete with teams with their bats, but if you can't compete with your pitching, then I don't want to say you're screwed, but you're screwed. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the under as well here with 77. What does that say? 79 and a half? 77 and a
Yeah.
half. So, all right, let's go to the Cleveland Guardians, who really didn't make many moves at all. The only person really they went out and got in the free agency was Estevan Florial from the Yankees. They have an underrated pitching core. They don't seem to pitch to what I think their potential is. Like they've got Scott Barlow, Shane Bieber, Emmanuel Clase, who's a really good closer, Sant Henches, Tristan
Tristan
McKenzie,
McKenzie.
and then looking at their catchers, they have Bo Naylor, who turned it on towards the end of the year. Scary guy for Twins fans, as well as Josh Naylor, Jose Ramirez, who we know is one of the best players in baseball, Gabriel Arias, Tyler Freeman, Andres Jimenez. They also have got Stephen Kwan, and Miles Straw, Will Brennan. So they have a solid roster. They really, towards the end of the season, kind of just choked. I think this is a solid team, sadly, for the AL Central. But I'm hoping they choke again, especially with didn't Francona, didn't he just retire?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he
So
just
I think
left.
with Francona gone, I'm hoping they choke again, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll take the under, but that's probably biased because I'm a Twins fan.
Yeah, the Guardians are. I know, I feel like my kind of impression of the Guardians is that, like, especially over the past few years when the Central's been a bit of a weaker division, is that they just kind of figure it out, and usually they were the one to win it, or there were a couple of years where they actually had quite a good win-loss record, and they kind of benefited off of that division in that
Yeah.
way. But I was kinda surprised that I because last year I probably would have picked the Guardians to win
Yeah.
the, division again, and so I was a bit surprised that they fell off at the end, but I feel like they've got a solid roster overall. I like their pitching. Tristan McKenzie, from when I've seen him play, looks
He
great.
can he
Shane
yeah, he can
Bieber,
play really good if he wants to, but
yeah, yeah, might be kind of a motivation key there. And then Steven Kwan, Jose Ramirez, maybe Jimenez. I
yeah,
can't remember
probably.
exactly though,
Bo
but
Naylor is playing really well, but that he's a catcher.
might have been Bo Naylor. I'll have to see, but I think I'll take I think I'll take the over on this one because I think they could be like what the Tigers, I think last year won like 80, 82 games. I think that is what the Guardians would do this
Okay.
season, at least.
Alright. Speaking of the Tigers, line there is 80.5. I feel like these sports betting books get lazy and just do what they had last year. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but looking at what they picked up, they got Gio Urshela from the Angels, Jack Flaherty from the Orioles, and Kenta Maeda from the Twins. I have some thoughts on Kenta Maeda, but we'll get there in a sec. Looking at their roster, they also have in their pitching core Tariq Skubal, Joey Wentz, Casey Mize, Miguel Diaz, Andrew Lang, Matt Manning. Decent guys. And then infielders, Javier Baez, definitely probably one of their best players on the team, as well as Spencer Torkelson, Gio Urshela, as I just mentioned, Colt Keith, Andy Ibanez. Outfielders, Akil Baddoo, um, Riley Green, and Matt Verling. Nobody. Oh, Parker Meadows, Zach McKinstry, Mark Conha. So that is their team. What do you think? Oh, Kerry Carpenter as well.
I don't know. The Tigers, normally I have a bit of a soft spot for Detroit sports for some reason, especially the Lions. I've always liked the Lions, but the Tigers just kind of, to me,
Suck.
even more so than other downtrodden franchises, just kind of feel like baseball hell. They had those World Series teams. They never could get over the hump. Um, and then they've just been in kind of no man's land for a while. And they improved last year. Like I was surprised to see them with, 80 something wins last year. That I didn't keep up with them super well, but yeah, I did not expect them to be second in their division there. But their hitting core just, I don't know, when I've tuned in and when I've just watched their games, their hitting makes me so depressed. And I don't know, I don't have good feelings about the Tigers. They'd have to prove me wrong. So I'm just gonna be negative on this one and go under. I don't think they're gonna be very good at all. So
Yeah, I'm not a big believer in the Tigers. I just feel like they tend to disappoint. Like I think Spencer Torkelson and Javier Baez are great pieces, just not on this team. I don't know. They haven't really performed. Well, they've performed fine. I mean, Javier Baez compared to what he did with the Cubs, I mean, it's not the same, but I don't know. I'm definitely taking the under on this. I don't really believe in this Tigers team, to be honest with you. So going to the New York Mets, looking at who they signed: Adam Ottavino, Harrison Bader, Jorge Lopez, Luis Severino. So a bunch of pitching moves, and then of course Harrison Bader. Um, who they still have Edwin Diaz, who was great pitcher there for some time. And they also picked up, I don't know why this wasn't on there, but they also picked up Sean Manea, Tyler McGill, Jose Quintana, Brooks Raley, Johan Ramirez, Kodai Senga. Um, looking at some of their infielders, Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, Jeff McNeil, Joey Wendell, Mark Vientos. Outfielders, Harrison Bader, Starling Marte, Tyrone Taylor, Brandon Nimmo. What do you think about this Mets team?
The Mets are interesting. A lot of good names on their roster, a lot of talent on the roster, but they I don't know, I feel like they get so snake bitten all the time. Even a couple years back, they had that great season, and they get knocked out by the Padres. But I don't know. They really spend a ton of money on the roster, and so they try. But after last year, kind of a lot of injuries and other things just started not going their way. They did a big fire sale. They got rid of um, Scherzer and Verlander and that. And I think I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be a terrible team this year, but when they did that fire sale, management kind of was talking about, okay, we're going to retool and we might not be good next year, but we're going to try and retool for like 2 years, at least try and get back to
Yeah.
where they were. And so
Do you
I
think they did that?
don't, I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, but I think I'm going to be negative on this one. I'm going to go with the under. Um,
Ooh, okay.
I think they'll, yeah, I don't know. They're the Mets. God
I think
hates the
they're
Mets.
what's 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 tough is I feel like they're half assing rebuilding. Like they don't want to go full rebuild because they still have guys on there that like I feel like they like kind of half-heartedly like want to believe in this team, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's like they can't decide if they want to rebuild or if they want to just stay with this team. And like that is a terrible position to be in as a Broncos fan for the last 8 years. I know about that. And that feels like what they're doing right now. And I don't believe in this team either. I'm gonna go with the under. And that's kind of crazy because it feels like to me at least 82 games feels gettable for this team looking at their roster,
Mhm.
but like I said, I just feel like this team doesn't have enough direction from the organization of what they want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a pretty sound analysis.
So going to the Cincinnati Reds, there's some young power. Of course, everyone's talking about Ellie De La Cruz. Line here is we'll say 82, um, which seems gettable. They went out and they got Imer Candelario from the Chicago Cubs. They got Nick Martinez, Emilio Pagan. Depends on the game with Pagan, man. He can be
Yeah.
really good, but he can also really cost you. They still have Graham Ashcraft, Alexis Diaz, Hunter Green, Nick Martinez, Frankie Montas, um, Andrew Abbott, TJ Antone. Looking at some of their infielders, already mentioned De La Cruz and Candelario. They also got Santiago Espinal, which was a good pickup. They still have Jonathan India, Matt McLean, Spencer Steer, outfielders, Stuart Fairchild, Nick Martini. I don't love their outfield, I'll say it, but infielders decently solid, and same with their pitching. What do you think about this team?
So it's kind of tough. The Reds were close last season. They were right in the thick of the wild card, really up until close to the end there. But so we got the Reds, we got the Cubs, and we got the Cardinals left to discuss in that Central. I'm gonna be honest here. I'm a bit of a Cardinals hater for this next season. I don't know. They just crashed and burned so spectacularly last year that I just don't have a ton of optimism for them. And I mean the Cubs too. The Cubs should have made the wild card. They should have even stopped the Diamondbacks from getting to the World Series there. So I guess it really all depends on how
Who
you
you
kind
believe
of
in?
arrange those last three. Yeah, I think I'm going to choose the over. I think I think they're going to be the second best team in the division. So I'm going to
Okay.
go with that.
I will zigzag from you. I think there's a lot of hype on this team, but like I said, I really don't like the outfield. They could prove me wrong, but I do like the pitching. I think they'll be able to compete with a lot of teams, but I think they'll be one of those teams that will come on the losing end of a lot of those close games. And I think they're a team that just barely misses the playoffs. I'll go under 82. Going to the Padres, their line is 83.5. Looking at who they got, they obviously huge loss in Juan Soto going to the Yankees. And after all the moves they made, they dish him out to the Yankees. That was free agency signing, yeah.
I think when he got traded, he had a couple years left on his like rookie deal, and then yeah, made bank in the offseason.
Padres picked up Jurickson Profar from the Rockies, Wandy Peralta from the Yankees, and Yuki Matsui from their own team, I believe.
They lost old Blake Snell too to an in division rival.
Yeah, this list doesn't have it, but they were not able to pick up Blake Snell. They also lost Zach Lugo, as I mentioned earlier, and some other pitchers. They lost a lot of pitching, which is never a good thing in baseball. And now looking at their pitching, they have Dylan Cease, Tom Cosgrove. They still have Yu Darvish, Michael King, Joe Musgrove, Wandy Peralta, as I mentioned, Robert Suarez, Randy Vasquez, Matt Waldron. Looking at their infielders, Bogarts, Cronenworth, Hassan Kim, Manny Machado. Outfielders, Fernando Tatis Jr. That's so weird to call him an outfielder now. Jackson
Yeah,
Morrill, and then Jose Azocar. So, like, this team is still fucking solid. Like, Loki, it's kind of like looking at this roster, like it's almost kind of disrespectful that it's so low. I know they had a down season last year, especially considering all the guys they had, like that roster plus Juan Soto. I think they're gonna go over on this. I think this is a solid team.
yeah. This is the AL West or NL West. I think is the most stacked division in the league.
That's probably why it's so low, huh?
Yeah, really the only team that I think you could not expect to do anything is the Rockies. Like I think honestly the other four are all going to be playoff contention.
Yeah.
The Diamondbacks, I feel like maybe don't jump out on paper as much as the other teams do. I feel like the
They made the World
Diamondbacks,
Series.
yeah, the World Series, they're young, they're kind of an up and coming team. I think they could continue some of that positive trajectory in that. The Padres, I think, they were a great team last year in terms of runs scored, but they were just horrible in close games. They were just
Yeah.
not clutch, not could not hit with runners on base and stuff in a lot of those situations. And so I think that's kind of a fluke statistic wise, kind of a fluky year there. I think the Padres should make the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Um, it just kind of ranking them because I've got decently high hopes about the Giants too, but I think I'm gonna put the Padres over.
Okay. I like it. Going to the Chicago Cubs. They didn't make a ton of moves. Biggest move really was re-signing Cody Bellinger to a 3-year, $80 million deal. They also got Manga, which I believe is like a Japanese pitcher that they brought over for a 4-year, $53 million deal. And then Hector Neris from the Astros. So looking at their pitching, Javier Assad, Jose Cuas, Manga, as I just mentioned, Drew Smiley, they still have. All I can think of with Drew Smiley is that missed perfect game. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Michael Bush, Nico Horner, Nick Madrigal, Dansby Swanson, Patrick Wisdom, outfielders Bellinger, Ian Happ, Suzuki.
What
Yeah.
was uh it was Steele, right? Steele was their starting pitcher who was in kind of Cy Young contention up until
Yeah, he's
the
still
end of
there.
the
Justin
season
Steele.
there.
Justin Steele, yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go over because
Yeah.
I'm picking the Cubs. They're gonna be my pick to win their division
Win?
this year.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. Matt will enjoy hearing that one, but I think the Cubbies are back. I think they'll be back in the playoffs.
I like it. Okay, Cubs are back. Chicago fans could have 2 wins after their free agency and getting Caleb Williams. Who knows? Maybe the Bears and the Cubs will make it for once. That would be one hell of a year for the
Renewed hope in
Chicago
Chi-Town.
fans, man. Oh, they're lying 84.5. I'll go. Fuck it. I'll go over 2. I'll believe in the Cubs this year. Arizona Diamondbacks picked up. Well, they re-signed Gurriel Jr., Eduardo Rodriguez from the Tigers on a 4-year, $80 million deal. And they also picked up Jock Peterson, which I felt like low-key went under the radar as a signing because I didn't even know that happened until just now. So going to their roster, they have Zach Gallen, Kevin Ginkel, Merrill Kelly, Paul Sewald, as you know, and
Seawall.
Ketel Marte. Oh, they also picked up Eugenio Suarez. I can never say his name correctly. Jace
Eugenio
Peterson.
Suarez. Yeah.
Yeah. Christian Walker, Emmanuel Rivera, Blaze Alexander, outfielders Corbin Carroll, Grishuk, Gurriel, Jock Peterson. It's a solid team, man.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks. What they're sitting.
Oh, Frias too. Yeah, my bad. I don't know if I said that or not, but
What would we say? They're sitting at 84, over under 84 wins.
yeah, 84.
I'm gonna choose. I'm gonna choose the over for them again. I think that 84 wins last season. I think, yeah, they should be right around the same. It might be a little bit of when the divisions are good. What's the word? It's like what they'd
Bloated.
always say with the Pac-12. Everybody would
Bloated.
knock each other down and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in fighting, I guess it'll knock records down a little bit with the divisional games. But I think they should be about the same level as they were last year. I wouldn't expect a huge drop off from them. So I'll take the over.
I'm gonna go with the under. I think they're a team that I don't want to say had a fluke year, but like you said, their division is so tough. I just don't think we can have 4 teams all do well in a division. Like it's just so hard. I think they'll be close, but I do think they will lose some key games. So I'm gonna go with the under there. Going to the San Francisco Giants. Talk about move making. Of course, yesterday or 2 days ago, they got Blake Snell. Huge pickup for their bullpen and their pitching. Matt Chapman from the Blue Jays. Jonah Cox from an A's affiliate. Robbie Ray. Tom Murphy. Young Ho Lee. Jordan Hicks. Jorge Soler. They made some moves as well as getting Blake Snell. Looking at some of their pitchers, they still have the Rogers brothers, Jordan Hicks, as I mentioned, Logan Webb's still on the team, which is a solid pitcher. Tyro Estrada, Matt Chapman, Wilmer Flores, Marco Luciano. They still have Conforto, Luis Matos, Austin Slater. This team isn't as great as I thought it was going to be, honestly. I won't lie. What do you think?
I'm actually pretty high on the Giants this year. I don't know. I just feel like their moves have been like maybe some of them haven't really jumped off the page, but I just feel like they've been solid. Like I feel like they just added some good pieces, because they were in contention or close to a wild card spot for a good bit of last season. I like their pitching that they've added. Blake Snell, big
Yeah.
piece. Robbie Ray, Robbie Ray was overall disappointing with the Mariners. Like his 22 it was fine, and then he was injured last year. And really, the lasting memory of Ray is just going to be giving up that walk off to Alvarez, which kind of blows. But I think Robbie Ray is a solid pitcher. I just think we got kind of unlucky with the signing. So I like that. I like their pitching so far, and their hitting core in some ways doesn't, maybe seem fantastic, but I don't know. I just have like a good feeling about them for some reason. What? Wait,
Okay.
wait. It's also 2024 too, so I don't know if even year bullshit still applies to the Giants, like their old World Series run, but it is an even year, so we'll
What do
see.
you Nah, man. Nah, man. It don't apply. Come on now. We're out of that stuff.
2010, 2012, 2014. It's the 10-year anniversary. Not saying they'll make the World Series, but who
Nah,
knows?
I don't like it. No, they're not doing that. All right. Cardinals. St. Louis Cardinals. You've already mentioned you don't really like this team for no reason. They went out and they got Sonny Gray. Great pickup. I know. Man was balled the fuck out on the Twins. Was a leader. I don't care. Everyone's saying that Pablo Lopez was a leader of our bullpen and our nah man. Sonny Gray was. Gray was fucking solid last year. Picked up Lance Lynn, picked up Matt Carpenter, Kyle Gibson as well. Looking at their roster, Giovanni Gallegos, Kyle Gibson, Sonny Gray, Lynn, as I mentioned, Steven Matz, Miles Mikolas, Drew Rom, Jojo Romero, Zach Thompson. Still have Wilson Contreras, Nolan Arenado, Brandon Crawford, Brendan Donovan, Tommy Edman, Jose Fermin, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Gorman, Lars Nootbaar, Jordan Walker, Alec Burleson, and Matt Carpenter. Still not high on them? Still taking the under?
Yeah, now that I think I kinda dug myself into a hole with this one, so I think I gotta say under to preserve my last ones, but they definitely made some pretty good improvements, and, they still got Arenado and Goldschmidt, who they had down years, but I mean, one was an
They could
MVP,
bounce
the other
back,
one
yeah.
was the runner-up for an MVP in that year. So, yeah, wouldn't be surprised if they did better, but I think I gotta stick to my guns and say under on this one.
Oh shit. Okay. He's gonna stick to it. I like it. I respect it. I'm still gonna go over. I think they're gonna be the winner of the NL Central. So going to the Tampa Bay Rays, looking at what they did. I have a question. Did Wander Franco like actually I know this is a fucking joke, but like did he actually get like suspended and stuff?
I think he's on the commissioner's exempt list right now, which basically means, you know, you screwed up, man. we gotta, we gotta, like, it's not up to the team anymore. It's up to Major League Baseball. I haven't really followed the news super well with it, but like honestly, just from it doesn't seem like there's been a ton of stuff coming out. And I think he might be like a Deshaun Watson situation where it's like,
Hush
it's
hush
like,
until it calms down, yeah.
yeah, where it's dude probably was doing weird stuff, but it might be it's like not enough maybe to stick to where he'll get, prison time or any real
Yeah.
consequence, and then teams are willing to overlook his for his talent, which is,
Yeah.
wonderful. We love that obviously, but oh well.
Yeah. All right, Tampa Bay Rays, they went out and they picked up a Mariner, Jose Caballero. Is that a good pickup?
He was fine. Um,
Nothing
I
crazy.
don't know. Yeah, aside from a few guys on the Mariners, last year our hitting core was pretty dog water. Like it was, yeah.
So looking at Tampa, they still have Garrett Clevenger, Aaron Savale, Zach Eflin, Phil Maton. Anybody else on that team that I'm missing that was a really good pitcher last year?
Oh, pitcher McClanahan, right? But I think he's
He's gone. Yeah.
he's gone. Yeah. So
They still have in their infield, they still have Wander Franco if he plays, as we just mentioned, Yandy Diaz, Brandon Lowe, Ahmad Rosario, which is actually decent pickup, I believe. Randy Rosarena, who's a fucking beast, Josh Lowe, Johnny DeLuca, Jose Siri, and Harold Ramirez. The line here is
Um,
84.5. I know you mentioned earlier that you think them and the Red Sox are gonna switch. You still believe that?
now I was thinking more the Blue Jays and the Red Sox
Oh,
are gonna
Blue Jays, my
switch.
bad. Yep,
I think the Rays, I don't know, the Rays just even if they lose players, like, they've been one of those
they just find ways to
franchises
win.
that yeah, they just always they seem to maximize their guys somehow. Even the A's years ago used to be pretty good with getting talent on the cheap and that. But yeah, the Rays are the true Moneyball kings of the modern day, and I think they're going to be solid again. They should compete for the division crown. So I think I'll go. I think I'll go over. I think they're a 90-win team at least.
Ooh, okay. I'll agree with you. I think they are a team that just finds ways to win regardless of the roster they have, and I feel like they always bring up guys from their farm system that you don't even know about that just fucking ball out. So I'll go with the Rays on the over as well. So going to the Blue Jays, this is your team that you don't think is going to do well. They did pick up Justin Turner from the Red Sox on a 1-year, $13 million deal. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa from the Yankees, Kevin Kiermaier, they re-signed. Yariel Rodriguez, they re-signed. Looking at the roster, Chris Bassett, Jose Barrios, Yimi Garcia, Kevin Gosman, Alek Manoah, Tim Miza, Jordan Romano, Eric Swanson. Still solid pitching core. Alejandro Kirk, Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. As I mentioned, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa added to this. Kevon, did I already say Biggio? Yes, I did. George Springer, Varsho. So they lost some outfield, but they also got Justin Turner from the Red Sox, which is a decent pickup to replace Soler.
They've got a lot of talent. Their pitching is always fantastic. They have, I think they just have a really good pitching like coaching staff. They're always well, aside from Alec Manoa, kind of like really, I don't know, dropping off. Like he had
Yeah.
kind of a tough outing against the Mariners in the playoffs, and then just was really bad this last season. I think he could still get it back together, but I know their pitching is always good. They've got a lot of like big name hitters there. I know that Vlad Guerrero has kind of been disappointing people, but even still, like he's still a good hitter.
Hmm.
I think he's maybe just disappointing as compared to their expectations, but they just kind of can't seem to do anything. Usually, they keep falling into these. They get to the playoffs and they haven't won a playoff game in like
Yeah.
how many tries now?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go under to be a hater because I am a hater of the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know, I just feel like there's just gonna be a year where the wheels might start coming off, and they might have to start staring down some big decisions in the future. So I think I honestly will predict them to miss the playoffs this next year.
All right. I'll also go under. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think the Yankees actually might be good this year.
God, I
Um,
hope not.
I hope not either, but I think they might actually be good this year for once. The Twins, you know my Twins. 87.5 is the line, or 86.5, my bad. I think that's very gettable. This team, while yes, they didn't make a ton of moves, the core of their team is still there. They have some really solid pieces. They went out and they got DeSclafani, as well as Okert and oh gosh, I'm forgetting one other guy. Justin Topa. I would have liked to seen us go get like a big name pitcher like Blake Snell. I don't think our organization wanted to do that, but still got Pablo Lopez, still got Joe Ryan. Um, Louis Varland stepped up in games that we needed him to. Bailey Ober. played actually really well. I still don't understand how he's a good pitcher, but he is. Funderburk is a exciting prospect. Alcala, it's okay, but we still have a great closer in Johan Duran. So I'm excited for this team. Ryan Jeffers had a hell of a season last year. Royce Lewis, grand slam fucking king. Do not pitch to him. Literally just take the walk. It's better, I promise you. You are not going to strike this man out. If it is bases loaded, he's going to fucking hit a grand slam. The man's goated. I'm so excited to watch him play. Hopefully he can stay healthy. We also picked up Carlos Santana, which I think is an underrated pickup. We didn't really have a great first baseman last year, and he's a gold glover. So I think that was a great pickup. I like this team. We also got Manuel Margot. I like this team. I like this team a lot. The biggest loss for us was losing Polanco to your Mariners, which is a solid pickup for you guys. But we have a young core, and I think it's going to give guys like Eddie Julian and Royce Lewis chances to mature, progress. We also have a guy like Kyle Farmer who can really produce for us when he's in. So I'm excited for this team. I'll go over.
Yeah, I think the Twins. I definitely agree with you. I think the Twins are going to be good or as good to better than they were last year. I think they'll. I'd have them as the favorite to win the division again. Um,
They're
I
young
think
too,
yes,
man, which
some of their
is
young players are going to keep developing. Um, there's something I wanted. Oh, Santana. Yeah, Santana's an awesome pickup. I think he's a great veteran guy.
yeah,
Dude was always the king because he was with the Mariners in 22 when they made the playoffs. We picked him up, I think, maybe on waivers or something. And dude was the king of hitting 2 home runs in a game. If he hit
yeah,
one, he was most likely going to
yeah.
hit two. And he was always a solid guy. So yeah, I think I'll choose the over too. I think the uh, I think the Twins kind of specific, but I feel like the Twins are going to be an 89 win at the bottom end team.
Yeah.
So
I'm what I'm excited for is to see like, obviously, I love Royce Lewis. Like, he's probably my favorite player on this team. I'm really excited to see what Eddie Julian and Matt Wallner can do because they really stepped up for us last year. It was our young core that really led this team into playoffs. Eddie Julian and Matt Wallner, if they can kind of pick up where they left off last year, this team is going to be extremely dangerous because Buxton's still on this team. And, I discredit that because I just know he's probably going to get hurt. Like, it's just like we've learned how to play without him at this point. But putting Buck in this lineup with Royce Lewis, Carlos Correa, Eddie Julian, Matt Wallner, that's fucking scary, man. And Max Kepler also produced towards the end of the year too. So this team could be scary.
you're
I'm
not
also
going
a
to miss
Twins
old
fan.
Joey Gallo.
No. No, we are not. No, we are not. I fucking hate that man. Oh god. Don't Why are you bringing up nightmares? Going to your Mariners, funny enough, 87.5 for them as well. Do you believe in this Mariners team?
God, yeah, that's a good question. So the Mariners, frustrating off season because ownership had been saying for years that, oh, we'll actually spend money. Like the timeline was always going to be like 2022 kind of early maybe, but 2023 onward, that was the time that they were aiming for. The rebuild should be over, the young talent should be coming up and everything, and that's when we're going to start spending money making the moves. And they just didn't. They didn't. They're tightwads. They don't want to actually inject money into the franchise. I know that sometimes you can get hamstrung with certain
Yeah.
contracts. Anthony Rendon, perfect example. But it'd be nice if they at least tried. But I think Jerry Dipoto, I think, is a great manager for what he's given. And I think the trades he made, as much as it kind of stinks, like getting rid of Suarez was a shame because I thought he
I like
wasn't,
Flores on that team, yeah.
yeah, he wasn't the greatest player ever, but it's like, he was going to be a salary dump for, God, Jesse Winker.
Mhm.
look how that turned out. And he was a valuable contributor. He always had a lot of clutch like RBIs and stuff. But what they were trying to do this year is, I think, cut down on players who struck out as much, and they're trying to get guys who can get balls in play more. Basically, like at least get it,
Yeah.
hit it out there, make some contact, and see what happens. Because when you strike out, you got no shot. You're that automatic out. Um, and so I think the moves they made, while they aren't like huge, I think are solid, and will improve hitting for this year. And I'm gonna be positive about the Mariners and choose over. I think they're gonna be a 90 win team again. I mean, they've been at 90 wins basically for the past 3 years. Just because we have the best starting rotation in baseball, I think, top to bottom, and then the bullpen too. It's no slouch, even with getting rid of Paul Sewald and that. We still got some great guys in the bullpen, and just what we got: George Kirby, we got Logan Gilbert, Castillo, Brian, what Miller and Wu too. Young guys, like, we just have a surplus of pitching talent in the organization right now, and I think staying healthy obviously is the key. They should be a playoff team again, at least a wild card team. I'd love to see them take the division, but the state of
Yeah.
Texas is our enemy right now.
I actually like the moves you guys made in the offseason. Mitch Garver, great pickup. Jorge Polanco, great pickup. I also like Mitch Haniger, getting him.
Yeah,
Um, I like those moves, man. I like this team a lot, actually. I'll also go over, and you're you can hate me for this, whatever. The Mariners are like the only. I guess you guys only have two sports teams that I follow, but the Mariners I actually root for. I can't explain why. I don't like the Seahawks for obvious reasons, but the Mariners I do root for. So I'm rooting for this team. I hope they do well this year, especially in a same, what do you call it? Same division as the Astros. I hope you guys fucking knock them.
crush them.
So, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Speaking of that division, let's go to Texas Rangers. What a team.
I don't know. The Rangers, I think, are probably the toughest one for me to think about, because with how they got into the playoffs, I wouldn't have picked them to get to and win the World Series at all. Like, they had, they were really hot at the start of the season, and then
Inconsistent.
their bullpen melted down. They were one of the worst. It was one of the worst stretches of a bullpen I think I've ever seen. It was
Yeah.
hilarious, honestly, how bad it was. But then they get to the playoffs, and then all their pitchers just, I don't know, drank their milk in the morning or something, and they were getting after him. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously, I don't want the Rangers to do very well, because that'll, impede the Mariners. And then the Astros, I just, at this point, you can't bet against the Astros with how consistent they've been. I really don't know. I think, because it's 88 and a half, so 89 wins is the over. Yeah, I'll choose the over. I'm not going to doubt the World Series champs. Yeah.
Their pitching really stepped up in the playoffs. I really thought that the Twins had a chance against this team, and they really just shut us down. Jacob DeGrom, Eovaldi, John Gray. They picked up I always say his name, Tyler Mali from the Twins up, which is, it's an okay pickup. He's okay. But Max Scherzer, nuts pitching on paper, just absolutely nuts. And then they still have Josh Young, Nathaniel Lowe, Marcus Simeon, Corey Seager, Josh Smith, and then Adolis Garcia, Tavares, Evan Carter, Jankowski. A solid team, man. I'm also gonna go over. It's crazy to me that the world defending World Series champs are at 88.5, but who knows, man?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do I know? All right, going to the Baltimore Orioles. Uh, God, it's crazy to me that Jackson Holiday is technically. I mean, do you think he gets called up this year?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think he'll get called up, if not for the majority of the year. I think he'll be up at the end of the season at least.
Yeah.
So I think he will be up, yeah, at some
Okay.
point.
So they made some moves in the offseason. They got Craig Kimbrell from the Phillies, big pickup. They also got Corbin Burns, which is big pickup as well. Those are the two big ones, I believe. Unless I'm missing anyone else. I don't see anyone else I'm missing. But they still have their core: Dean Kramer, John Means, Tyler Wells. Trying to think if I'm forgetting anybody else. In their bullpen, I don't think so. Adley Rutschman at the catcher, of course. Gunnar Henderson's young guy. We've got Ryan Mountcastle, O'Hearn, Ramon Urias. Look in the outfield: Austin Hayes, Cedric Mullins, Anthony Santander. This team's solid, man. I like this team a lot, actually. You said
Yeah,
they would
no,
win the East, didn't you?
I'm picking them to win the East again, yeah.
All right, over the Yankees.
Yeah.
I'm
I
gonna go
think
over as well. I think they're a 90-win team, but
mhm.
well, I guess the line's 98.5. Fuck you for that. I'll go 92-win team.
For me, I think I'm gonna predict 95 wins for them.
Ooh,
Um, so I'm gonna take the over because really they're like even just from watching them and everything, like they've had solid pieces for a while. Like Austin Hayes has
yeah,
been solid
he's
for a few
solid.
years. Rutschman, since he and Julio kind of got called up at the same time, heard a lot about him, and he's a great catcher. Cedric Mullins, God, that dude literally single handedly won a game against the Mariners
He's a beast.
uh,
He's such a
last
beast.
year. Ton of speed on the bases too. Gunnar Henderson, great young player. I mean, Jackson Holiday might be one of the best talents who's come through in a while. They just have so much talent in their hitting, and then they go out and get Corbin Burns, a fantastic ace pitcher. Um, yeah, I can't really think of any big weaknesses with this team. And so I think they might be the team to beat in the AL again this year, I think. And two, last year they were 100 wins. They get knocked out by the Rangers, but they have that playoff experience now. They kind of know, what it's like to be there. I think that'll just help their young guys even more.
Definitely. Definitely. Going to the Philadelphia Phillies. Another solid team, man. Jose Alvarado, uh, Aaron Nola, Gregory Soto, Ranger Suarez, Christopher Sanchez, Spencer Turnbull, uh, Taiwan Walker, and Zach Wheeler. They still have JT Realmuto, Bryce Harper, Whit Merrifield, Edmundo Sosa, Alec Baum, Trey Turner, Bryson Stott, Weston Wilson, Nick Castellanos, Jake Cave. Jake Cave, wow. Cave is from he played with the Twins for a stint. Brandon Marsh, and of course, Kyle Schwarber.
Have the three true outcome player.
Whit Merrifield was a good pickup. I like that pickup. Yeah, Phillies line 89.5. I think it's tough because they're of course in the same division as the Braves, but they find ways to win, man. I'll go over.
Yeah, the Phillies, I don't know, they're at 89.5. I'm gonna choose under, but just barely. I think they're still gonna be a playoff team, and I think they'll still make
Make a
noise in the
run.
playoffs.
Yeah.
But they kind of seem like they're not the best regular season team, but
I
they
see
just turn
that.
it up
Yeah.
a notch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see that. Yeah. Okay.
So I think yeah, under by not by much.
Do you like this team? Like in the playoffs, do you think they could be a World Series team finally? Well, I guess they
I
were
think
2 years
so.
ago. Do you think they could win the World Series?
Yeah, I like honestly, with how they've with how they've just beat down on teams that, on paper should be better than them over the past couple years,
Braves.
um, they're gonna be my pick to get through the NL again, honestly, until I get proven otherwise. I I I know a lot of people hate Philly sports and not entirely, what's the word?
A fan of
undeserved.
Philly? Yeah.
Yeah, but I like the Phillies. I just think they're a cool team, and Bryce Harper went on a whole redemption arc. He's one of the coolest guys to watch in the playoffs now. So
Yeah.
I yeah, expect good things.
All right. Going to the New York Yankees. Soto. He's on the Yankees, man. That's nuts. Thinking about this team. Still have Garrett Cole, Nestor Cortez. Of course, they lost Luis Severino,
Yeah, it's
Clay
probably a benefit,
Holmes.
honestly.
Yeah. Carlos Rodon, Marcus Stroman, Marcus Weaver. Their infielders, DJ LeMahieu, Oswald Peraza, Anthony Rizzo, Gleyber Torres, Anthony Volpe, Oswaldo Cabrera, Trent Grisham, Jamie Jones, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and they also got Alex Verdugo, and then they still have Giancarlo Stanton. It's crazy to think their outfield is going to be Verdugo, Soto, Judge, and then they
Yeah,
can
no.
utilize Oswaldo Cabrera. Like that's nuts. What do you think? Is this is this Yankees team legit? 91.5 is the line.
Well, I hate the Yankees, just as anyone else who isn't a Yankees fan should feel. They are the evil empire after all. They like always they have a ton of talent on paper. They should be going to the World Series, but I just don't believe in them. Honestly, especially basically for the past decade, they really haven't given much of a reason to. I mean, when they made a deep playoff run, the Astros just crush them every time, or they just have fall offs. A couple years back they were on historic pace, and then they just peter out, by getting crushed by the Astros again. And then last year it came early and they missed the playoffs for the first time in a while, which that was very nice. I hope we get some more of that. But I don't know. I'm definitely letting being a hater probably cloud my arguments here, but I'm gonna say, especially with the loss of Garrett Cole, who really has been a top performer no matter what.
I thought
Um,
Garrett Cole was still on this team.
well, if he's gonna be injured, sorry, is what I
Oh,
meant.
got it.
Because he went in for an MRI on his elbow, and they said, oh, he's gonna be out at least a month. And I just feel like it's gonna be kind of a Yankees thing where, oh, at
Yeah,
least a month turns into 2 to the year, and
yeah.
yeah, so I don't know. They could totally prove me wrong. Good for them if they do, but I'm going under.
I'll go. I think they're the Cowboys equivalent to baseball. I'll go. I'll go over. Give me over, but not by much. But they'll choke in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Astros. What do you think about the Astros, man?
I hate
I
the
mean, I know what
Astros,
you
but
think about them. What do you think about their team this year?
no matter what, honestly, they could, like, jettison basically all of their roster, and until I see it with my own eyes, I'm not gonna say the Astros are done, write them off.
Yeah,
So as much as I don't want to
they got a
uh,
team
say
still,
this,
bro.
I think I'm going to choose the over on this one
Yeah, they're
because
good.
just no matter what, obviously they cheated in 2017, but they still made the ALCS for what, 6 or 7 years in a row now. You got to be good to do that. So what
They
do you
just
do?
keep they just keep finding players that can play and produce for them over and over again, and they really haven't lost that core. Like, even their pitching
Hmm.
is just fucking nuts, and they just added Josh Hader too. Like,
Yeah, it's just yeah, they're they
more
get rid of
ammo,
George
man.
Springer and Carlos Correa, and then, oh, let's just casually find Yordan Alvarez, who's one of just
And
the
Jeremy Pena, yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's
So,
evil, man.
I'm also gonna go over Atlanta Braves. They are at 101.5. Their signings, I don't think they did a ton. Not that they needed much. They extended Chris Sale. They picked up Reynaldo Lopez. a pitcher, David Fletcher, and holy shit, their pitching is just nuts to me. Aaron Bummer, Max Fried, uh, Reynaldo Lopez, as I just mentioned, AJ Minter, Chris Sale, Spencer Strider. That's nuts. D'Arnid, how do you say that? Travis D'Arnid, D'Arnid,
Uh, yeah,
Darno,
I'm not
Darno,
too sure.
Travis Darno.
Darno.
Yeah,
Yeah, it might be Darno.
Sean Murphy, Ozzy Alves, Orlando Arcia, Luis Guillerme, Matt Olson, Austin Riley, Ronald Acuna Jr., Adam Duvall, Michael Harris, Jared Kelenic, and Marcel Ozuna. That is the Atlanta Braves. 101.5. And they're a good regular season team, too.
Hmm. I think I really wouldn't be surprised if they were a 100 win team again, but I'm gonna go just because being a 100 win team is pretty hard. I think I'm gonna say that they're gonna be high 90s. I think as their floor, and so I think
Yeah.
I'm gonna choose the under for when it comes to 1-on-1 5.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go over. I believe in this team. I think they are motivated, and I think a lot of people will have their attention on the Dodgers. And I'm gonna stick with the Braves here. All right.
Fair enough.
I knew that the Rays lost someone big. Tyler Glass now. Um, Dodgers. Who all did they pick up? Otani, just best player in baseball.
Just casually, yeah.
Yamamoto, probably gonna be the best pitcher in fucking baseball pretty soon. That man's nuts. Seeing his pitches, fucking crazy. Tyler Glass now. Give me 1 second. Jason Hayward, Teoscar Hernandez, James Paxton, Ryan Brazier, Matt Gage, Noah Miller, Kike Hernandez. Looking at their entire roster, this team is nuts, man. That's all I gotta say right
Yeah.
there. Gavin
They've got just
Stone,
casually 3
James
MVPs, yeah.
Paxton, Joe Kelly, Michael Grove, Tyler Glasnow, Gus Varland, Yamamoto, Yarbrough, Shohei Ohtani, Austin Barnes, Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, Gavin Lux, Max Muncy, Miguel Rojas, Chris Taylor, Mookie Betts, Teoscar Hernandez, Jason Hayward, and James Outman. Are they a 104 win team? I'll say it.
Well,
No. I'll say it. I think it's
no.
gonna be next year. I think next year is gonna be this year. I think they're gonna need a year to figure this team out. I think it's next year. Dodgers choke,
Fair
man.
enough. Yeah.
They're good. I'm not gonna say they're not good. I just don't think they're gonna get to 104.
I think with the Dodgers, I'm gonna pick the over on them, honestly, just
Okay.
because like, it just feels like every year it's like they're this historical powerhouse where it's like, oh wow, the Dodgers have gone on this incredible run of winning like 60 games and only 10 losses or something, and they're they're one of the best teams in the 150 years of organized baseball, and then they get defeated by the power
Yeah.
of friendship in the wild card round, and so
Yeah.
I think they're going to keep up with that because yeah, really, I mean, they might have lost some guys, but even without the addition of Shohei, one of the best
Yeah.
players in the game, and then one of the best pitchers in the game from Japan, they're still going to be stacked. And so I, yeah, I got to go with the over on that one.
Okay. I might be crazy for picking the under. I might get a lot of hate for it, but fuck it, man. I like the zig and zag, baby. So that
Totally.
is it for over and unders. I'm excited for this season. There are some really exciting teams on new faces, new teams. I'm really excited. Um, I'm excited to watch both of our teams, honestly, too. Um, yeah, man. I'm excited to have you back on and talk some baseball. Spring is in the air, man.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's starting to get, days are getting longer, weather's getting warmer, and won't be too long till it's the middle of summer and we're going to start talking about playoff pushes. So looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
Yes, sir. We'll have to catch that Twins Mariners series this summer. All right, buddy. I
Hell
appreciate you
yeah.
coming on. I know it was a long one. It was fun though.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, man.